Welcome back to another YouTube Tuesday. My name is Derek, and today we're going to be going over a channel that a lot of you might have already seen before. He does have some great content, so we're going to be taking a look at one of his videos, and that channel is Hugh Jeffries. Hugh Jeffries is well on his way to 1 million subscribers, has uploaded over 400 videos. He's based out of Australia and has almost 250 million views on YouTube. Today we're going to take a look at one of his more recent videos titled iPhone Botched by Previous Repair Shop. Let's fix it. Today I'm going to give you my honest thoughts as we go through it. Maybe there's positive or negative critiques, but this will give you a good idea of what you can expect from a lot of his videos. Let's get into his video.
I was given this phone to repair from a friend of our family. After losing his iPhone 7 in a skiing accident, he was handed down this iPhone 11 from his daughter.
Now I'm a father, and that's a good sign of a good father. His daughter had a newer phone than he did.
It's been repaired before by one of those shopping centre pop-up repair booths. It's been poorly repaired, with pieces loose and a few screws rattling around inside. The battery has expanded, breaking the display away from the frame, with the screws still remaining behind. The screen is also cracked beneath that protector, and so is the back glass, which, like the screen, is also lifting away from the frame. Judging by the glass, it's already a replacement. Powering up the phone, it only had enough apple juice left in that battery to display the boot logo for just a few seconds. We'll need to connect the charger in order to get this phone to boot into iOS. Here we can see the battery is prompting us to service it. The display is unknown, and there's a Face ID issue. Thanks to Apple's parts pairing, I can prove this battery installed is the original genuine Apple battery that shipped with the phone. Apple rates it at having 78% health. Before jumping into the repair, it's a good idea to see what else might be wrong that wasn't obvious from a first glance. So I'll test this device using iTest, my own app which I developed to test hardware and software functionality of mobile devices. There's over 17 different tests which help give us a better idea on this phone's condition, in addition to the obvious cosmetic issues. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cameras, the LED flash are all working, but there's an issue with the proximity sensor. This sensor is responsible for the phone screen turning off when you're in a phone call, preventing you from pressing buttons on the screen. This one's behaving erratically. When the screen is sitting against the frame, it's being triggered. Lift the screen up and it disengages. As for that 78% battery health, the phone doesn't even last 5 seconds before switching off. So there's quite a list of things to repair on this iPhone 11. But at least I didn't have to pry the screen up, as the battery has already done that for us. In fact, it's broken the retaining tabs from the bottom of the screen, meaning the pentalobe screws at the bottom of the phone are still installed. This is the earpiece speaker and sensor cable. It's supposed to be screwed to the back of the screen, but has just been left to float around inside by the previous repairman. The reason Face ID no longer works is quite simple. This cable has been damaged. From the screws that were left loose inside the phone, one's been magnetized to the...
Now it might have been that screw just popped loose, and maybe it was left on accident inside the phone, or it came loose from the screen not having the screws properly tightened or something. But it looks like it's punctured the flex cable. Fortunately, this is something you can fix. You can swap that flex. It does require soldering to save Face ID. Don't know if he is going to go that far, because he doesn't tend to get that detailed with the really difficult repairs. He doesn't do a ton of soldering in his videos. So I doubt that he's going to fix the Face ID issue, even though it's completely fixable if that's the original flex. He could just transfer over the proximity sensor to a new flex, restore all the functions and all the issues that this screw has damaged, and also get Face ID back. Let's see if he does that or not.
Back of the speaker, and as the screen was pressed down, the screw has cut into the cable, breaking Face ID. There was also no adhesive gasket installed, which has allowed dust and other grime to enter the phone. We're going to have to get this all cleaned up before I can hand it back. Just take a look at that battery. That's one spicy pillow. For parts, I'll be using a new display, back glass, battery, volume flex cable, and adhesive. I'll start by removing the damaged parts and recovering the loose screws, because unlike the person before me, I'll be actually installing them. You might argue this phone is beyond saving, because there's just so much wrong with it. But with the parts costing less than 55 US dollars or 80 Australian, I think we'll be able to make this a very usable phone. And as he works as a builder, having the newest and most expensive phone, it could easily get damaged. But this one, he won't have to be so precious about. And it'll be an upgrade over his iPhone 7. I'll need to remove the speaker and vibration motor in order to access the battery release tabs. With the tabs removed, the battery can be pulled free. This battery is exactly 4 years old, but has failed quite dramatically. What I initially thought was the glass separating from the frame was actually the frame separating from itself, and that separation has ripped the mute switch cable. This damage has again been caused by the previous repairman who has incorrectly removed the back glass. Because the original glass has been removed, this replacement will be much easier to fit. The original adhesive is so strong, it's recommended you have a laser machine burn away the adhesive before prying up the glass. I've done this several times and I can say I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. How I knew this glass was a replacement even before opening the phone was the fact it had larger holes around each camera lens. The original glass extends under the camera lenses, before the lenses are welded onto the frame. It's important not to leave any glass or residue behind, otherwise the new glass panel will not sit flush with the frame. Often when you replace the back,
You can definitely tell that somebody had an interesting time getting that glass off originally with all of the scrapes. With the proper tools, you don't leave behind like any evidence that you've been in there. I mean, there's obviously going to be some evidence, especially if you use the large holes, glass and things like that. But with the right techniques, you're not going to damage the frame. You're not going to split the back plate from the housing. You're not going to leave too much evidence that you've been in there. If you're leaving evidence that you've been in there, there's always a better way. Let's just put it that way. So, and these rings that go around the camera, they tend to like to float down if there's nothing compressing back up. So you could use a rubber gasket to hold them up. You could even glue them back up. You can do a lot of things to kind of keep them up so that it actually, looks decent when you put the back glass back on it. Curious to see if he's going to have one of those methods here.
back glass on an iPhone, the little decorative rings around the cameras fall down as there's no longer any glass beneath them. So I'll add these little O-rings I purchased to solve this issue. They're also supposed to help with maintaining some form of resistance to liquid, but I wouldn't be guaranteeing that with this phone. Next, I'll superglue the loose section of sheet metal to the frame. Originally, this was spot welded, and while I have a mini spot welder, it's still too large to weld these tiny tabs back to the frame. Nevertheless, superglue should work just fine. Once it's set, it's time to get the back glass installed. I'll remove the protective film and apply some additional liquid adhesive. Once the microphone mesh is installed onto the back glass, the new panel can be attached and clamped into place until the glue is cured. After which...
Now, if you notice there, he left the double-sided tape on the back of the new glass. That means that the glue isn't really bonding to anything but the double-sided adhesive, which isn't that strong. So I would have recommended that he remove all of the double-sided adhesive and just use the bond that the glue would have against the frame of the glass. But, I mean, it's an iPhone 11. It kind of is what it is, so I wouldn't ding him too much for that. But you definitely want to have a stronger bond than double-sided adhesive of that type, that thin stuff against all of those uneven surfaces. You'd want to have like a cold press glue sufficiently covering the perimeter and kind of snaking back and forth like Apple does. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think.
The clamps can be removed and we can continue assembling the phone. I'll need to replace the volume buttons at this stage as they'll be inaccessible after the battery goes in. There's 4 screws and 1 connector attaching it to the phone. Once removed, I can transfer the mute switch across to the new cable. This is done by bending the thin retaining loops up to remove the button and then tightening them back down on the new cable after the button is positioned. Then we can get the new cable installed in the housing using its correct screws and adhering the cable into place. Before installing the new battery, I'll fasten the speaker and vibration motor back into place. It was at this point I noticed an interconnect pin was incorrectly positioned.
No, that's where it's supposed
to be. It had become slightly deformed because of this.
No.
However, I'll do my best to correct it
how
and orientate it correctly.
Okay.
Now it's come time to clean
I mean,
the
it's a small
inside of the
detail,
iPhone.
but let's go back to the beginning. You guys can see here real quick. As you can see right here, before he's even uninstalled it, a bracket does go down. It's shaped to fit in there.
this point, I noticed an interconnect pin was incorrectly positioned. It had
You
become
can see it's designed to fit in that exact spot, just like it was. It goes on top of the little speaker there, compresses against the display. That's a grounding pin. That's. I mean, the phone would probably work just fine without it, but he had it in the right spot, and he's moving it to the wrong spot. So maybe just looked off to him or something. But let's keep going.
slightly deformed because of this. However, I'll do my best to correct it and orientate it correctly. Now it's come time to clean the insides of the iPhone, removing any grime, fingerprints, and remnants of old adhesive gasket. After which the battery can be installed along with the new adhesive gasket. Before attaching the new display, we'll need to install the earpiece sensor cable using the screws we recovered earlier. However, one was still missing, so I salvaged one from a parts phone. But yet another screw turned up along the way. As it turned out, it came from the new display. I noticed most of the screws on the display were loose and needed tightening. So there's something to check if repairing your own phone. Finally, we can attach the new display to our refurbished iPhone 11. It's a bit tricky to get the battery bracket installed as the display cables get in the way, so extra caution needs to be taken so that they're not damaged when installing this bracket. Once attached, it's time for a test, with eye test. In the color and burn-in test, we can see the display is slightly darker towards the bottom edge. It's only minor, and I've had new iPhones with similar issues, but it's noticeable when performing this test.
It's slightly darker because it's got a backlight, an LED strip that isn't illuminating that one spot as bright as the rest. And this is what you're going to find on almost every single LCD. Whether it's a phone that's designed to have an LCD like an iPhone 11, XR, and anything before a 10, versus the OLED panels where you're not going to have that issue. That's just kind of something you're going to have to deal with, especially if you downgrade to an aftermarket LCD from an OLED, on an OLED phone. But yeah, it doesn't look like you replaced the proximity sensor assembly flex, transferring over the prox for Face ID. So more than likely, this phone is going to have still a Face ID issue. It doesn't look like but beyond that, there's not a huge amount that I'd be critiquing. So let's finish up the video. It's almost over.
Another issue is the proximity sensor now doesn't work at all. A simple unplug and replug later, it's working. Maybe I didn't connect the cable correctly, or some dust prevented a good connection. Either way, it's always good to test before adhering the display down, as you don't want to have to pry the phone open and apply new adhesive for such a simple issue. With the phone now in a working, refurbished condition, it's time to seal it up. I'll remove the protective film from the adhesive and attach the screen to the frame. So
that bracket that he bent, that little pin is now going to be rubbing on the display flex cable right here above the IC, instead of being able to touch the metal part that's behind the flex right here that you can't really see. There's a spot where it's supposed to make contact with the back of the display, and it's metal on metal, so it's not going to cause any damage. But this now pin that he's accidentally put in the wrong spot is, I think, eventually going to rub through the display, this touch flex on the display, and it could potentially cause some issues there. So maybe he should have just looked back in the video or looked at something, another repair guide to see, hey, that actually was in the right spot. It just looked off to him at the moment. But otherwise, it's a working phone. Not everything works, but it's a working phone.
I'll also have to loosen those pentalobe screws we never removed at the start, as the old screen had broken away. Once the new screen has been pressed...
So one thing you'll probably know about the pentalobe screws, he might have been able to get the legs from the old screen out, but if they were still tightened in there, I wonder if the little legs are going to be rattling in there now, because they might have still been pinched down inside, and him loosening it to have them just be retightened. They might still be in there, and they're going to be rattling around a little bit, but maybe they came out, maybe they fell out. I don't know. Just from my experience, they're kind of pinned in there by those legs by the pentalobes until you loosen the pentalobes, and then they fall out. So let's finish it up.
Into place, they can be retightened. Now all that's left to do is remove the plastic protective film from our new display and back glass.
The frame needs a bit of cleaning.
And we're done. So this is it. An iPhone 11 that's had a pretty hard life, with many previous poorly performed repairs, and when I was handed it, it was broken yet again. Hopefully it suits its new owner well and lives on for many years to come. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing and check out the phone restoration playlist for more videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Alright, so now we've had a good chance to look at one of his videos. I will say the video quality is awesome. The audio quality is awesome. The angles of his shots, everything was really good. And that's how all of his videos are. He does really good with the actual filming and editing of the videos. So that's what you can kind of expect to see, is really clean, concise, well-articulated footage. Of course, there's a few little things technically, wise as a tech that I would critique. Not going the extra mile to fix the Face ID, and a couple other things that I prefer in the way I do things. Now, if you guys have other critiques to throw at the video, leave them in the comments below. If you are a fan of Hugh Jeffries, let me know down below. And if so, maybe link one of your favorite videos of his so others can check it out as well. If there's a channel that you'd like to see featured, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to take a look and review it in one of the following weeks. Thanks a ton for watching. We'll see you in the next video.